All right, it's already time for another monthly palette ranking. I just did one of these a few weeks ago, but I already have another batch of palettes that I've tested that I've got my full and final thoughts on that I want to review for you in a ranking style, okay? This is all just based on my own preference, my own experience. None of these palettes are bad quality. I will start off by saying that a lot of the times it comes down to personal preference when it comes to color stories and formulas. So I will link these palettes down below in the description box if you are interested in checking them out. I will be popping up codes on the screen if I have a code for one of these brands. Of course, it's always listed down in the description box. Everything that is on my face will also be in the description box, and I did film this for short form content. It should already be up on YouTube Shorts and Instagram. And yeah, would love to know your thoughts as I'm going through these palettes. What do you think about them? Do you have these palettes? What's your opinion? What's your review on them? Or are you interested in any of these palettes? Let me know. I'm so thankful and so lucky to say that I got every single one of these palettes in PR, which is really, really wonderful. I'm very thankful. So just wanted to throw that out there. Doesn't affect my opinion. It doesn't affect my review, but just wanted to be transparent. So I have 7 palettes to rank, kind of a random number, but starting off at number 7, this is solely because of color story preference. No problems with the formula. I have the Simply Posh Snow Angel palette. This was their holiday release, and I believe they released it in January. I think they were trying to release it in December, but it ended up being pushed to the new year. Yeah, I mean, just these tones are not my ultimate favorite. I prefer some of the other color stories in this ranking, but I will say Simply Posh has a beautiful eyeshadow formula. Their mattes are very easy to work with, and they've definitely solved the problem with this palette that they've had in the past where their shades are really hard pressed in the pan. These aren't. These aren't. In fact, I feel the mattes in this palette are the most loosely pressed that I've seen from them, which I don't mind. I always do my eye makeup first, so if there's fallout, I just wipe it away. It doesn't really bother me. I would rather there be more kick up in the pan than it to be too hard pressed in the pan, personally. I really love how they lay out their palettes in this column style. Very easy to create monochromatic looks, but they always do a really good job of creating palettes that you can mix and match pretty easily with the tones. They're generally in the same undertone family, color family. So yeah, I really enjoy that there are light, medium, and deep mattes, something I really look for. And the shimmers in this are absolutely beautiful. They are that smooth and sparkly formula. And a lot of these are shifting shades, and some of them are a little more like iridescent with a more of a transparent base. So yeah, I mean, the formulas, I have absolutely no issues with this. It's a lot of cool tones, and I just don't prefer cool tones, but if that is something that you enjoy and you enjoy those formulas that I just mentioned, I think you would enjoy this. Coming in at number 6, I have the Lethal Cosmetics and Dexter palette. I've mentioned this before on the channel, but I don't have any attachment to the IP. I've never watched Dexter. I'll be honest with you, I don't really have a desire to watch it. I know it's obviously a beloved show, went on forever, didn't it? Like with so many seasons, and so many people love the show. So I am simply like reviewing this from an outside perspective, if that makes sense, which can be good, right? I'm not really tainted by my nostalgia, if you will. So yeah, I mean, this palette, I really don't like the packaging, and I get that like it's meant to be his blood case or something or whatever. For me, it's just very bulky, and it's just very kind of inconvenient. Now, I am obviously a YouTuber, like I have a YouTube channel, so for me, something like this matters, but maybe for you, it doesn't matter, but it's very hard to like hold up and show. For a normal person that doesn't have a YouTube channel, I'm sure it doesn't matter to you, but for me, it is a little awkward to like hold. But I will say the quality of these shadows is very, very good. I do feel like these are on par with the Avatar: The Last Airbender quality that I really enjoyed. Very pigmented mattes, a little bit more kick up in the pan, and the shimmers are very, very, very eye-catching, shiny. I will say most of these shimmers are a little on the textured side, which is not my favorite formula, just as a preference thing. Like I do prefer more of a smooth shimmer, but I will say once they're on the lid, I usually use a glitter primer or something to catch any fallout or to smooth things out or whatever. Once it's on the lid, it does look absolutely stunning. And the other thing is this color story-wise, not a favorite color story, not a color story I'm going to reach for all the time, but if you enjoy the show and this is a color story that appeals to you and you like pigmented mattes and very eye-catching, these aren't like barely there shimmers. No, 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 no. These are in-your-face, star of the show shimmers. I also actually, my favorite shimmer in the palette is the one that's in the middle called Trinity, and it is like a blood spattered. It's absolutely beautiful. It is a little more of an iridescent, very smooth, icy red, very unique shade. But yeah, so it's coming in this point in the ranking, but still a good quality palette. Coming in at number 5, it is the palette I'm wearing on my eyes today, and this is the Dede'Signature Shattered Romance palette. I love that they came out with a 9 pan. I love a 9 pan. It is compact enough that it's not overwhelming, and they did a really good job of curating a color story that can create a couple of different looks. Now, with a 9 pan, I'm not looking for like the most versatility. Like, I've only got 9 shadows. I'm not expecting to get 25,000 different looks out of it, but I feel like it's different enough here that I can create quite a few different looks. I like that there are light, mid-tone, and deep mattes, something I always look for, of course, and it is matte heavy, which I prefer. I like that there is a matte black. Now, it is a matte with sparkle, but I tap my brush off, the sparkles disperse. It's a matte, in my opinion. These two shimmers are a little on the textured side. Like I said, not my ultimate favorite. They do look really pretty on the lid, but like in a day-to-day basis, I definitely prefer like the one I'm wearing on my lid right here called Faded Roses, which is their more like smooth duochrome formula. I love this formula from them. They've done this in the past. It's just ultra smooth. I mean, it looks so beautiful. It looks so beautiful. Now this, in the pan, it reads very pink with a gold shift, but on the eyes, as you can see, it's very gold. Like the gold is very much picked up. Of course, when I turn my head, you can see the pink, but it definitely reads a lot more gold, but absolutely stunning palette. I think the mattes are continuing to improve with their palettes. I had no problems working with these mattes. They blended great. They showed up great on the lid. No issues. No issues. I just like some other palettes coming up more, but absolutely no issues with this. I've really been enjoying it a lot. Coming in at number 4, I have the Nomad Cosmetics Chamonix Après Ski. This is my favorite packaging of any of the palettes in the ranking today. I mean, they always do an amazing job with their packaging. Nomad is a destination-based indie brand, so they do their collections based on different destinations around the world, and look at this artwork. I absolutely love it. It's like a vintage postcard. It has like a paper bag touch to it. I mean, absolutely stunning. And then the color story reminds me a lot of the Snow Angel from Simply Posh, but I will say I do like this one a little more in terms of formula. And what I really love about this are the 2 iridescent shades that are here. They are so beautiful. I'm so glad that they included them in this palette. They make this palette so unique. I actually used them as highlighters on my face, and they're stunning because they have more of that transparent base. Really beautiful as inner corner pops, really beautiful layered on top of mattes for your lid. The quality of this is very, very good. Mattes are really good, kind of mid-level pigment. These shimmers are just really shiny, really smooth. Apart from these two up here, they're all just really pretty standard shimmers, which is something that I really enjoy in a palette. I don't need a palette full of multi-chromes. It's not something I reach for on a day-to-day basis. Again, this is very heavily cool toned, so it's not gonna be my #1 palette of the ranking of the month, but I will say I just enjoy Nomad's quality so much, and I love those iridescent shades in this palette. It really made it for me. Coming in at number 3, I have the Gourmand Girls and Doodles by the Bunny Bitten palette. So purple is my favorite color, or one of my favorite colors to wear if I'm not wearing neutrals. I just love purple. I think it makes my eye color pop, which I really enjoy. And I just love how purples look on me. I don't know. There's just certain colors that I feel really good in, and purple is one of them. You're really not gonna get a huge variety of different looks. Maybe a couple of like depth differences. You can do like a light purple look, a deep purple look. You can pull in more of like the berry tones to make it lean a little more berry, but generally it's a purple look you're getting out of this. This is the good Gourmand Girls quality. I have no problem with usually their rectangle palettes that they come out with in this same format. The mattes are really nice. They've definitely improved their mattes you know, compared to a couple of years ago. The couple of years ago, their mattes were definitely more on the silky side, very, very, very buildable. These ones have more kick up in the pan. They're a little more pigmented, but I don't feel that they're hard to work with. They blend really nicely. And the shimmers, a lot of these shimmers, again, are a little more on the textured side. Not my ultimate favorite. I really love this one called Hysteria. Is it considered a holographic? I don't know, but there's several different color reflex in here. It is so, so beautiful. They do usually include an iridescent duochrome in all of their palettes, which I always love for the inner corner. It's very matte heavy. All of the mattes have different depths, different undertones. So it's a monochromatic purple palette done right, in my opinion. Love the vampire theme. Always here for a spooky theme. Even in this time of year, I'm here for it. So yeah, really enjoying this palette. Number 2 and number 1 could be interchangeable. I had a really hard time placing number 2 and number 1. So you could ask me tomorrow and I could switch them up. I feel these are really neck and neck, definitely set apart from the rest of the palettes. Both are just very much in my preference right now and very much something that I've been wanting to reach for. So coming in at number 2, I have the Fantasy Cosmetica Monk palette. You guys, if you've been here before, you know I love warm tone neutrals, and this just makes my heart happy. Like, this is giving me summer. It's making me excited for summer. Forget spring, I'm ready for summer. I mean, my favorite season is summer. What's your favorite season? Let me know down in the comments. I know a lot of times people say fall, and I do enjoy fall, but I just love summer. I love the heat. I love the heat. Anyway, back to the palette. This palette, okay, if you don't like warm tone neutrals, don't get this palette because that's all you're getting out of this. But I will say, these two shimmers here, they've added some kind of more marbled, multi-chrome shimmers here. This one I wore all over my lid the other day and I could not stop looking at it. Every time I caught myself in the mirror, I was like, wow, that looks gorgeous. The guy that was working at the coffee shop, when he gave me my coffee, he complimented my eyeshadow. You know, when people, like strangers, are complimenting your makeup, you know it's a good eyeshadow look, right? I really enjoy these different matte options. Again, big variety, no, but like it's a look I personally love. And Fantasy Cosmetica quality, both in the mattes and the shimmers, they're just so beautiful, so good. Pigmented mattes, very eye-catching shimmers, smooth shimmers, which I enjoy, but still not like barely there shimmers. I mean, really gorgeous. This is one of my favorite palettes they've ever done, for sure. And then coming in at number 1, can I get a drum roll, please? This is a shocker to me. This is not an indie palette, and usually I'm always gonna rank indie palettes over mainstream palettes, but I will tell you, this palette I kept raging for over and over and over again. Even when I was done testing it and I'd got my final thoughts, I kept putting it into my testing drawer because I didn't want to stop using this palette. And that is the NARS Afterglow Tempting palette. I know, crazy. I know that this is a mainstream palette, and I know it's kind of boring, but this has been the look and this has been the vibe that I've personally been wanting to reach for all year. Simple looks, 1 or 2 mattes and a shimmer on the lid. Really pretty, ethereal shimmer. These are really pretty. They're not like barely there, dusty, crusty shimmers that some mainstream drugstore drugstore palettes, is not a drugstore palette, obviously, but this still has that wow factor to the shimmers. They are still really sparkly, really shiny. Some of them are toppers, some of them are more opaque, but they're all so beautiful. Very effortless to wear, very easy to create quick looks, but I can also create more depthy looks as well. And I love these shimmers. They're ultra thin, which I just have also been loving. Just a thin shimmer. It doesn't exaggerate texture on my lid. I've been having a lot of texture issues with my eyes because of the dryness, the cold weather, and I just feel like this, it just looks so beautiful. Every single time I use the palette, it looks so incredibly beautiful. I can't deny it. I was also expecting from the mattes, I was expecting them to be a little bit more, again, kind of dusty and barely there and hard to work with, because a lot of mainstream mattes, they're not like the most pigmented, but I felt that these mattes were perfectly pigmented. Quite a lot of kick up in the pan. Again, didn't expect that. And they built up to look like they do in the pan. And yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I would have preferred maybe 1 more matte, because there's only 3 mattes. I definitely maybe would have liked a little bit lighter of a matte that I could use as a transition shade, but it still works for me. I could still make it work. Yeah, I've really been enjoying this palette and reaching for it a lot. All right, and that is it for this palette ranking video. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, let me know your thoughts on any of the palettes I talked about in today's video. I would love to know your thoughts down below. Did you try any of these palettes? Are you hoping to try one of these palettes? Are you skipping? Are you want to know by whatever it is? Let me know, and I will see you very soon for a new video. Bye.